Hello, learners. Hope that you are keeping well. Today, we're looking at economic geography and we're going to focus on, and I need to get my little highlighter out first. We need to focus, or we're going to focus on the core industrial regions in South Africa. Okay, now let's then look at the curriculum that we're going to do. Okay, with regards location to location, we're going to look at where the four core industrial regions of South Africa are. Also telling us that there are four core industrial regions, okay, in South Africa. Actually, they make up over 80%. It may be changing a bit now. Last that I have, they make up around 80% or more, or slightly less than all the industrial activity in South Africa. All right, so it's big, huge industrial core regions or core industrial regions and areas. Okay, of course, government, and we'll talk about it in later sections on economic geography, that government is trying to spread out industrial activities, all right, and trying to give more development in other areas, etc. Okay, so we may have a change in the number of the percentage, but for now it holds the majority by far economic activities. These are compared to other areas in South Africa, these are highly developed industrial regions with strong economic output, etc. Okay, and we're looking at them. There are four regions: the PWV, all right, that's here, with Durban Pinetown, as people also say eThekwini, Port Elizabeth Uitenhage, that's also known as your Nelson Mandela Metropole area, all right, and the Southwestern Cape. These four are huge. Okay, now learners, there seem to be some confusion. Of course, exam guidelines and your teachers would have explained this to you, but some of you are still, of course, it's important to have the exam guideline, which was from 2017. Okay, and in the guideline, it says for NSC 2019 and supplementary 2020, the two industrial regions that will be examined are the PWV and the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage area. All right? It says that there. Now, just to let you know, I'm sure you will know this already because you've got excellent educators and you are excellent yourself. Okay, these core industrial areas will apply for your prelim and final exams. Okay, so it's the same. So maybe the 2020 exam or the 2017 exam guideline did not mention this. It will apply for end of the year. Okay, and it says, although we're focusing on this, you still need to know the location of all four industrial regions. Okay, where are they located? All right, so that's important. But your main focus is on the PWV and the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage area. Okay, let's go on. Now, we said we need to know the location of the four core industrial regions in South Africa. Now we have one which covers Gauteng down here. That's your one core industrial area that we are going to deal with in more detail. All right. It's known as the Pretoria, Witwatersrand, Vereenging core industrial area, also known as Gauteng, and in short, it's the PWV. Then in KwaZulu-Natal, around the region here, we have the Durban Pinetown core industrial region. Okay. And then, of course, that's the second largest. And the third largest, is we have in the Western Cape, the Southwestern Cape core industrial region. That's found in the Western Cape. And then the last one of the four we have is the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage area, or in core industrial area, that's found in the Eastern Cape. Okay, so we basically know the location all right, and in some cases the province, all right, because Gauteng is making up the PWV area, all right, or in the rest of the cases, the province in which it is situated, all right. And another thing to know is that all these three are along the coast, all right, with harbors, etc. Some interesting fact: the only one is Gauteng that's more in the central or inland that we have from the four of them. Okay, now let's start looking at this. All right, now if we look at the Pretoria Witwatersrand Vereenging, also known in short as PWV, all right, Pretoria Witwatersrand, and you'll notice I'll be using that PWV more often, but you must know that that stands for Pretoria Witwatersrand Vereniging, all right, that stands for. And sometimes it's also called the Gauteng Core Industrial Region. So please note the different terminology, so that you don't make a mistake. All right. Now you can see down here, learners. All right. Those living in Johannesburg and Pretoria, etc., will be very familiar with this. All right. I've given you another example here of the different areas. All right. It covers in terms of Gauteng itself. Can you see Pretoria? All right. And this is the whole Witwatersrand. There's Vereniging. All right. In terms of the areas itself. Okay. So we can see the area that it covers, the Gauteng. Okay, area itself. So one important point, this is the largest industrial region or core industrial region in South Africa, the largest. Okay, I'll show you more stats just now. Its initial development was greatly influenced by raw materials. Example, the discovery of gold, etc. This started this off as a mining area, and of course, eventually, as minerals came through, you understand the discovery of these different raw materials, etc., it eventually led to people flocking in, and suddenly industries and tertiary activities, and it's grown so big. But that was the initial thing. Just a little background on the PWV area or Gauteng area. Okay, let's go on. Right, just to show you something here, I want to emphasize, all right, and I want to move my face before I emphasize, all right. Uh, I want to, and of course, this note is missing something here, okay, which I want to put in. I don't know where it disappeared to. I want to write the word million here, okay, all right, million, and my writing is getting better, okay, right. Now, I want to show you something here in terms of its contribution. Okay, now we look at this in billion rather. I do apologize for that. I want to put in billion, not million, billion. And I want to show you something here. All right, manufacturing. Manufacturing. All right, okay. And if I look at this same one, that color, there's it here. And if I go down, okay, I can see that manufacturing in this area, okay, contributed 200 billion in 2016. Can you see the massive amount that it's contributed to? It's huge. You understand? It's huge in terms of its contribution. Okay, and of course, looking at this, it's 15%. Okay, massive in terms of this. Okay, this region. So we can see it is a major industrial contributor to South Africa. And I do apologize, but you can see my billion there. Okay, right. So it industrial development contributed greatly to making this region the economic hub of South Africa. It's where things happen. You know, when you visit your family, if you're living in Gauteng, and you go in the outlying areas where people are not uh, employed, etc. One of the questions I ask you, where, oh, you're from Johannesburg. How How's the jobs there in Joburg? We hear there's a lot. Actually, there is an unemployment problem, but everybody sees it as the big industrial area of South Africa, which it is, all right, economic hub. And it's one of the big centers of industrial development in Africa on its own. You understand? If you look at it. Okay, so it's huge, major contributions all over to the economy, and of course, many issues related to that, like infrastructure, etc. Okay, right. Main industrial activities. Here are the main industrial activities in the PWV. Learners, please note, I am using PWV now, which represents Pretoria, Witwatersrand, Vereenging, which represents Gauteng. All right. Iron and steel products is huge in this area. And of course, industries linked to the iron and steel. Okay, production of vehicles and kitchen utensils. I can go long on. All right. And one of them is a big company as Metal Steel. Okay, that's in this area. All right, that is one of the big ones. And another thing huge here, can you see the steel being produced here, by the way? Okay, and then the chemical products, there's so many different chemical products. I'm using Cecil, okay, that takes the coal and makes fuel, okay, which supplies a lot of the fuel or significant amount of fuel to the country also, okay. Engineering products, example for aviation, involved in parts of aircrafts, etc. Motor assembly plants, like Ford is found here. You understand? Ford. Okay, these are some of the big ones. Doesn't mean they don't have other industries, learners. I'm giving you some of them that are huge in this area. Clothing and cosmetics. I know you learners, you like the clothing and cosmetics. But anyway, you'll get a good supply in this area. Like Apex Clothing Manufacturers in Fortsburg. Okay. All right. So they have lots of clothing manufacturers. Food and beverages. Also in this area, that's huge, like Pioneer Foods, where you'd get one. Just examples that I'm giving you. There are other companies also. I just gave you an example that if you're driving around, you may see this and say, hey, there's food and beverages being produced in this country, or rather in Gauteng. Okay. Then why is this area so popular in terms of industrial activities? So we look at factors favoring industrial development in the PW, all right, region of Gauteng region. One strong point that we will look at is the variety and large amount of raw materials. Now, if I look at this coal, iron, vanadium, and these symbols, and if I look at the Gauteng region here, it's full of those symbols. Massive amount of symbols telling you that the mining raw materials, or raw materials from mining, is huge in this area. What a boost for industries in this area. You got your iron and steel, or iron ore rather, right near you to produce iron and steel. And how many products are made from iron and steel is unbelievable. And it's bulky, eh, learners? To transport them is massive. Okay, it's expensive. So you need to have it near you. Now, it's not all. Remember, mining raw materials are one thing, but we also look at agricultural raw materials, okay, that come through. And this area has also got an abundance. Look at all these things: herbs, orchards, vegetables, livestock, all right, that's used in manufacturing. In the lesson on the manufacturing and agriculture and the contributions, you notice that even these raw materials, all right, produce a lot of things and encourage industrial development in those areas. Okay, so it's raw materials, no problem in Gauteng, whether it's coming from agriculture or whether it's coming from mining. Okay, the next point, a good transport network. In fact, an efficient transport network, whether it's road, rail, air, there is enough transport. Okay, in the PWV. Okay, that's one thing. All right. Plus, another positive factors, learners. You must know that we can't just look at the PWV as such and say, excellent, because the PWV wants to sell to other areas. Okay. So it's well linked to other regions in South Africa. Okay. I've got this little sketch here, PWV. Can you see it? Look at the networks, whether it's road, rail, all to all parts of the country. So this well-developed transport network allows us to transport stuff from the PWV region to all areas, okay, which is brilliant for the PWV region. All right. And another thing that we need to look at, the well linked to the harbors. All the harbors are found in these regions. And you notice the transport networks are efficient when it leads to the harbors. Because you must remember, Gauteng can't transport iron and steel in aeroplanes. They can, but it's ridiculous. The costs are way, way out of the range. You understand? It's not even worth doing it. So it has to be transported, you understand, via ship through the harbors. So we're well linked with that also. Okay, let's go on. Large market. Okay, the PWV, I should be saying more the Gauteng region. All right, the Gauteng region. I'm going to put a G here in this area, the G representing Gauteng. All right, has 15,488,137. Well, I can read my figures, which makes up 26% of the population. This stat was taken mid-year between 2020. Okay, so it's massive. So the immediate market, learners, we're producing in Gauteng, and once again, I promise you this is only water. All right, we're producing in Gauteng, and we have a market around us that can buy our goods. How much are we saving on transport costs? Brilliant. All right. And we have markets across the country. Across the country. You understand? And this well-linked transport routes help us transport. So we have markets across. All right. Uh, and remember, it's the closest core region to markets to the rest of Africa. It's right on top. Okay, so if we have to use rail or whatever to transport things to the rest of Africa, we are or rather the Gauteng region, okay, is the closest to the rest of Africa, which also is a positive, in terms of that. All right. International markets, largest in South Africa. Okay, look at this. Provincial exports in 2006. Okay, I found this little thing. It may have changed a bit, but as I always say, guys, learners, that you have to look at the resource that's given to you. So maybe your examiner will give you for 2014 or 2020. We never know. Use that. But Gauteng is, look at this figure, 61.4% compared to anyone else. And then you go to KwaZulu Natal, which is 12.4%. Massive difference between these two areas in terms of contribution with exports. Okay, so can you see how big this Gauteng PWV region is? Massive. Okay, so a large market is available, all right, because it can export to so many places. So it definitely will encourage industrial development in this area. Okay, now this area has skilled and unskilled labor available. Okay, all right. And we must remember it has the largest population from all, eh? All right. So skilled and unskilled labor is available. Right there with so many million people. All right. You got enough labor available in your area. Okay. Of course, it's not saying that there's specific skills that would happen. It happens everywhere. That may require somebody from the outside. That does happen, eh? Right. Sufficient and relatively cheap. I'm using the word relatively cheap, eh? Remember, compared to other regions, we'll talk about it later. Electricity supply. Okay. Relatively cheap. Why? We look at it. Large power stations are located in the PWV. And what makes it possible here, learners, is that the coal mines are close. All right, coal mines are close. Large coal mines in Mpumalanga. Look at here, guys. There's Gauteng there. Can you see Gauteng? And look at this area showing you different coal mines here. All right, right there. There's all the different names of you don't need to know names, etc. But I'm trying to show you visuals in terms of how close. So to produce electricity in this area is not a problem. And then sufficient water supply. And again, you may question, what? You understand? How can it be? Yes, there are water problems, but there were initiatives put in place, learners, to actually try to overcome these challenges. Example, water supply supplemented by water projects like the Tuva project, Valchugela project, where water was pumped from the KwaZulu-Natal area into the Gauteng region. So we have supplemented our water. Okay, there can be cases where you may find that droughts occur and that happens. Yes, these are issues, but we have sufficient water supply. I don't want to go into this whole Tuva project. You've done it in your other grades, eh? I know this may seem like not such a significant factor to the rest, all right, but it's a contribution nevertheless. Many tertiary institutions in Gauteng region, many universities, technicons, technical colleges. So skills development learners shouldn't be such an issue. There are issues where population is growing and there's not much space, which needs to improve, but there are a lot of institutions. All right, relatively flat land. Okay, it's easier for the construction of industries and movement of stuff, etc. Okay, I said relatively flat. Not every area is flat in Gauteng. So if you come to Gauteng and you see a hilly area, don't say Mr. Dave was wrong. There are areas that are hilly. But of course, when you're answering, go with the main factors first. You understand, like raw materials, etc. Okay, let's go on. Factors hindering that work against industrial development in the PWV Gauteng region. Okay, so over concentration of industries. I know we're repeating this, we've done this as factors favoring and hindering, but now we're being specific to the areas. All right, okay, led to the strain on resources. Okay, too many industries in one place. Water supply, power supply, it's straining it. Okay, because there's such a large amount of it here. Strain on transport infrastructure, traffic congestion. Okay, it's a hindering factor because to send your goods out from the PWV region, okay, is a problem. Okay, because sometimes you get traffic jams, your goods are not going out, or the raw materials are not coming in. These are massive problems that we experience. Okay, PWV industrial region is far from the harbors, creating more expenses. Now, learners, yes, there is a well-developed transport network leading to the harbors like Durban, etc. Okay, but still, if you look at it here, all right, Gauteng, okay, in those regions, and then you have to move it to the harbors. Each harbor, you see, there has to be a distance. Don't look at the map distance, look at the real distance, eh? All right, it's a real distance, like from Gauteng, depends where you are, approximately 600 kilometers to the Durban Harbour, which is a huge distance and it's costly. Okay, so that's a different one. Also, a hinder. Industries, especially heavy industries, create a lot of pollution. Okay, on its own, pollution is a problem. But of course, governments want to bring in laws like Air Quality Act, which uh, rules for industries regarding reducing of air pollution. All right, reducing of air pollution. So what actually happens here? All right, it's good, these rules. This has been explained before, but I know I need to bring it into context of Gauteng. It's good for the well-being of the people. And okay, let me move my face a bit. All right, for the people of South Africa and the well-being of South Africa, but it may hinder, okay, industrial development due to additional costs to put this in place. And industries may move somewhere else in the country where the laws are less stricter, or to other countries, you understand, where it's easier for them to put in there and pollute, especially multi corporations, etc. Okay, so it may pull industrial development if more laws are implemented and strongly implemented. And South Africa is trying to cut down on the environmental damage. Okay, load shedding and increased costs of electricity. Unfortunately, it's a reality, eh? Load shedding. There is enough, or should be sufficient power supply with the resources we have. Okay, but unfortunately, various factors I've mentioned over my lessons, you understand. Old infrastructure, the sort of corruption issues, etc. And we hope government does sort that out so that we can get on with providing enough electricity for all of us, not only for the industries, for us learners. We don't want to be in the dark all the time, eh? All right, let's go on. And I'm not going on. All right, and I need to get back to the other slide, and I don't know why it's not coming in. And there we are. Okay, Port Elizabeth, PE in short for Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage. All right, also known as the Nelson Mandela Metropole Core Industrial Area. Okay, and my mouse is taking a bit of a jump. Okay, first of all, we know it's in the Eastern Cape, and it's there we are. That's where the Uitenhage or Port Elizabeth Uitenhage core industrial area is. You can see the major harbor, eh? That's there. Already you can work out to a certain extent, learners, how it's going to advantage the area. It's already, because you guys are brilliant. You understand? Maybe I don't have to teach the rest of this lesson. Okay, you know already. Okay, you can see another view of Port Elizabeth around the harbor and the ocean, etc. Okay, that's it. And of course, Uitenhage is not far from there. This whole region is covered there. Okay, now let's look at some facts. It's the smallest core industrial region in South Africa. Now, please, learners, I said smallest. I didn't say insignificant. Its contribution is huge also. You understand? Okay, it's only 4 core areas, so its contribution is huge. So please do not get the wrong impression. All right. And the initial development greatly influenced by the port facilities. Obviously, if you've got a port there, industries want to be there. Cheaper costs of importing certain things they need and exporting. Okay. And of course, I mentioned it's situated in the Eastern Cape. Okay, right, let's go on, learners. Our main industrial activities. Okay, we see here it includes motor vehicle, car assembly, all right? And of course, this has resulted in many linked industries here. Okay, like car parts, tires, windscreens. Okay, all is needed. And if the car industry is there, okay, why not? Something that damaged, you already got there. We need tires, whatever, it's coming through. Okay, and it has played a big part in South Africa, as South Africa is one of the 20 manufacturers of vehicles in the world. In years it was remote. I know it's shocking, right? This statistic. All right. In the earlier 2000s, it was number 18. Okay, we don't know this sometimes, eh? But it's huge. And the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage area played a huge part in this. All right. Others is textile and cotton, leather and shoe factories, okay, car upholstery, fruit canning, and salt works. Now, obviously, you can see these are other industries, and these industries, learners, have obviously been influenced by the raw materials available in the area. Remember, raw materials play a big part also in determining what sort of industry you will have in an area. Okay, let's look at factors favoring. And obviously, you would look at the harbor. Okay, the harbor, massive factor. Okay, massive. Cheaper costs for importing, example, car parts. Okay, because it comes through ship, much cheaper. And exporting of motor vehicles. All right, huge. All right. Of course, there is skilled and unskilled labor available. Okay, Eastern Cape has a population of 6,734,001. The one also is included, 11.3%. Eh? So remember, I'm talking Eastern Cape. All right. Uh, of course, this core region will influence a larger part around the Eastern Cape, okay, in terms of labor supply. Okay, please note it's Eastern Cape and not just the PE-Uitenhage area, but there's a large area available. All right. Uh, Now, if we look at this little thing, okay, look at here. All right, the different cars that's produced by the Eastern Cape. Okay, and we look at the number of uh, automobile component companies. Look at this, high, all right, for a smaller region. All right, motor vehicle uh, percentage of South Africa's total vehicle pack of 27 12.79 million vehicles, 6.7%. Can you see it? And if you look at light vehicle production, 43%. Can you see these huge things? Learners, you don't have to know these figures. All right. As I said, you'll get a resource with actual figures, which may be different from this. Okay. So, but I'm just giving you an idea of the significance of this motor car industry. Okay. That's found in the PE-Uitenhage area. Now, I know this is the Eastern Cape. It produces a large amount of parts in the Eastern Cape. Okay, produce a large part of motor vehicles in the Eastern Cape. When I say produces, I'm referring to the Port Elizabeth. So yes, the Port Elizabeth may not have this, Uitenhage may not have this figure, but a significant amount of this figure is found in the PE-Uitenhage area. So this figure is for the Eastern Cape, but of course a significant part coming from the PE-Uitenhage area. Okay, it's massive, massive, learners. Okay, right. A good transport network. I know parts of the Eastern Cape are not well sort of developed in terms of infrastructure. I'm putting the focus on the PE-Uitenhage area. Okay, so don't confuse it. Eh? It's road, rail, airport. We have all these things in this area. Okay, more emphasis on the port, the harbor. It's well linked to other regions of South Africa, as you can see here. Massive networks. Harbours linked to international markets and for import. Eh? Brilliant. All right. Centrally located in relation to the Western Cape and Durban Pinetown. We can even go provinces. There we are here, Eastern Cape. Eh? And there's KwaZulu Natal with Durban Pinetown. All right. and we have the Western Cape here. Okay, maybe it's slightly towards the Western Cape, but it's quite centrally located. We have two markets nearby. Okay, two markets nearby. Can you see that? Brilliant for that. And of course, the infrastructure. Large market. Of course, the Eastern Cape population, I told you already, over 6 million, 11.3%. There's a market there. Markets across country also, because it's well linked to other parts. International markets through the harbor, which also allows for exporting of motor vehicles, etc. Okay, and then a last point, you don't have to really know the Kuga industrial development project, eh? But it also played a huge part. This Kuga industrial development project, actually, what is it? It's a project, not the full definition, learners, but it's a project that encourages industrial development in areas. It's initiatives that put in place to encourage more industries, etc. We're not going to go into detail now. In a later lesson, we'll deal with specific industrial development zones, etc. But you just need to know that it encourages industrial development. Okay, and Huga is about the largest industrial development zone in the country. So what has this done for this area? It's brought in a lot of investment, learners, and industrial development. Okay, it's grown. It's grown. All right, in terms of, because this industrial Huga industrial development zone is in this area. Also is a factor that favored. You understand? It's a factor that favored this area. All right. So we look at the Eastern Cape and we may say 6.5% compared to 61.4%. Remember, 6.5% of the total exports is a significant amount. All right, goes into billion. All right, into billions again. So it's a significant amount that's contributed. So don't look at the percentage in relation to Gauteng down here. All right, I know it's much smaller, but it's still very significant. So markets, exports, etc. And the harbor has played its huge part in relation to that. All right, factors hindering. No raw materials for mining. Okay, no raw materials for mining or limited. Right, now look at this, from mining rather. Look at this. Look at where the minerals are, learners. Look at this. I mean, if we look at this map, all right, all these minerals are there, north, northeast, central part, etc. And look at this area here, has got no symbols relating to this. This is a definite factor hindering. All right. And we need it. We need iron and steel, etc. We need iron ore, rather, to produce iron and steel, to produce things for the motor vehicle, etc. And what does this do, learners? The cost of transporting these raw materials are much higher. Example, the iron ore, etc. Okay, much higher, or even processed iron and steel. Okay, right. And another thing here, learners, coal mines, which is a major supplier in terms of the production of electricity in our, we got coal-powered electricity, which is the majority of our electricity. Now what happens? We're far from the coal mines, which makes higher electricity prices. Massive. You understand? Okay. Labor strikes, it seems to be on a slowdown at the moment. I stand to be corrected, but at least this is improved. Not many labor strikes happening at the moment. You understand? That's a good sign. As I say, I can't read all the newspapers. I try to check the news, but labor strikes, and it has been big in this uh, uh, motor vehicle industry. Can you see people striking? Not happy, and of course they have their valid reasons, etc., pay conditions and things, all right, and it has a major negative impact. In fact, millions are lost each day when there are strikes. Doesn't mean that Gauteng does not have strikes, but this one has at times crippled, in past years, crippled the motor industry, which is huge in uh, the PE-Uitenhage area. Some motor vehicle companies now have moved to other areas, I suppose because of better conditions, can be related to the strikes. All right. Maybe the cost of the raw materials. Okay. That they can get it cheaper maybe in Gauteng. So what do? They move to Gauteng. Maybe the costs are cheaper. Okay. Although the port is there, maybe they weigh the costs and say, hey, it still may be cheaper for us to move because transport has been improving between Gauteng and the Harbours, so it's cheaper for us to go to Gauteng. Okay, so they may decide, no, I'm moving. So this is negatively impacting on the uh, industrial development in the PE-Uitenhage area. And then factors like overconcentration of industries, pollution may not be as bad as the PWV, but it's still happening. Okay. And as more development happens, learners, okay, as more development occurs, the negative impact of these factors increases. As obviously, you understand, uh, when the area develops, there will be more over concentration of industries, resulting in the pollution, same effects that Gauteng is feeling. All right, uh, in terms of those things. Okay. Uh, Traffic congestion and strain on resource, it's going to happen, and there is a certain amount of this problem existing in the PE-Uitenhage area, but not as bad as Gauteng. And of course, load shedding and increasing costs of electricity will create problems. All right, but these are your more major factors, as I pointed out to you earlier. Okay, so certain things are similar to the Gauteng region. Now, obviously, we need a past paper, and I've used last year's paper, and I want to show you. I two reasons why I use last year's paper, learners. It shows you the value of a resource and how simple you can actually pick up certain factors. Okay, I'm sorry, sometimes I'm looking at the clock to say I can't take over my time, otherwise we won't fit this lesson in a lesson, eh? All right, so let's look at this. This is a little article. Okay, right. I'm going to get, there's another word that it's called. You don't get worried. I'm going to show you that word just now with a little map information. And it says South Africa's industrial regions, the Port Elizabeth Uitenhage, that's the Nelson Mandela. It gives us some indication here. Don't forget, read every bit of information. It tells you the population. Can you see it's huge? That is why I didn't want to give you the population of the area, because I'm showing it to you. Can you see what the examiner has done? He didn't give you for the Eastern Cape. The figure is different because it's now specific to the PE-Uitenhage industrial area. And that's what I'm talking about, learners. Don't just learn off figures and expect that to appear. Geography has got so many things, you understand. It's undergoing so much change that you need to interpret the information that you have in front of you and apply it to it, and you can still do it. All right, it's a large, relatively large, this population for one area of a province. It covers a huge area in terms of square kilometers. All right, it's 645 people per 45.2 per square meter, quite densely populated, maybe not as heavy as Gauteng. All right, okay, and of course that's a reference. Let us read further. Let's take the words. The PE-Uitenhage is being referred to here, covers an area of 1,956 57.6 square kilometers. So we see it's huge. It's situated on the wetter eastern half of South Africa and in the Eastern Cape. See what I'm doing, learners? I'm highlighting the main words. Okay. Has major natural bay. Why is the examiners giving us all this? It's significant, learners, because they most probably going to use some of it. Seaport, and is the economic powerhouse of the Eastern Cape. Tells you it's the massive area in the Eastern Cape regarding that. It talks about the economic sectors. Manufacturing is massive, eh? Then it's community service. Then it's finance, okay? Finance. And then it's trade. And then it's transport. Can you see manufacturing? All right, massive. The automotive, the vehicles, is one of the main contributors to the area's economic growth. Why is the examiner picking on the automotive or the motor vehicle industry? All right, most probably something is going to pop up, eh? Why? Just remember the specifics here. Okay, that's how you read, that's how you get it. The PWV industrial region is home to two major automotive manufacturers, Volkswagen and General Motors. All right, South Africa. Okay, and there are over 500 vehicle component manufacturers in the region. I can see without looking at the questions. All right, examiners are nice people. All right, they give you stuff that you can use. They won't give you 100,000 facts. Not all the facts will be used, but they'll highlight certain things that you need to use. Okay, so we've got an idea already of the questions, eh? That's the brilliant part of trying to work the source and you actually work out questions. Okay, why are they picking on Eastern Cape? Why are they picking on the motor industry? Why are they picking on the natural seaport? You understand? Why is these things being picked on? Okay, so let's look at the questions. And this time I decided not to put in the memo because I'll work with you that you can think also. Sometimes the memo is just there. Let's work through it together, learners. All right, and look at the article. The first question, all right, which province in the Eastern Cape or Port Elizabeth, Uitenhage area, industrial area is located? All right, and there, if we go back to our article, beautiful. It's in the Eastern Cape. Can you see, learners? All I had to do was read through this. Okay, and I've got an answer already. Brilliant. I'm not saying all the time it's going to be like this, but you will get occasions when it is like this. This is easy marks. It just means reading. Okay, let's go on. Let's take the second one. State the main industry in the region. All right, let's go back. Now watch out. Remember, this is economic sectors. And in this exam, some people are writing manufacturing. But what does the examiner want? The main industry in the region. All right. And of course, that's your automotive industry. Can you see it? All right. So sometimes you have to be careful, learners. Just be careful. The answer is there, but sometimes you may just take the first one, read carefully, eh? All right. Let's the next one. Give two physical, which is natural factors. Reading these words, eh? No selective reading where you say give two factors. Read properly. All right. Can you see the word in the infographic? All right. Now, I haven't touched the word infographic. Sometimes maybe teachers are teaching with sketches. So what? You understand? That's an infographic. It's giving you diagram, information, etc., or map information, etc. So it's called an infographic. So don't get confused by this. That contributed to the growth of the manufacturing region. It must come from the information there. Okay, must come from the information. All right. Now we go back to the information, learners. Let's read. It's given information. Yeah. All right. It's given information. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now let's read here. Can you see the wetter western part of South Africa? So it's a natural thing, which is rainfall, isn't it? The wetter part, enough water supply. Okay. It's on the east. That's one factor. Let's go on. And the examiners made it easier. Major natural bay. Okay. Seaport. All right. Can you see it? Right there. It tells you those are your two natural features. So at the moment, learners, what has happened? 4 marks is just there, just taking and putting. All right. If you look at it, 4 marks. That's a lot of marks for a section which is actually, that's 10, 14 marks, 4 out of 14. So please get these resources and check them. Why is the large population an advantage to the Uitenhage area? Okay, now you have to take it a little further, learners. You've learned already. What does large populations do? Okay, it gives them a labor supply, isn't it? You've learned this, and it's not that we call it a little middle order, etc., but doesn't mean it's difficult if you know how to apply your work. Okay, so you've learned this already. It's in the notes that it allows for sufficient labor supply. You understand? That can be there. All right, it's for 2 marks. Remember again, 1 times 2 means 1 fact because of the 1, eh? And you have to explain it properly. And 2 times 2 means 2 facts fully explained. Okay, and then if that's your major factor. Then if you got a large population, don't you have an immediate market to buy your goods? Wouldn't that encourage industrial development? Okay, you've got 1 million people or more, whatever, and people are ready to buy your goods. Brilliant. You understand? Then it says explain how the industry in 452. Remember, read these things, learners. 452 is talking about this industrial region, the automotive industrial, contributed to the economic growth of the region. All right, number 1, I know employment can be economic and social, but yes, motor car industry employs a lot of people. All right, therefore creating massive employment related to the motor industry. Don't say a lot of employment because it says specifically to 452 learners, which is your automotive industry. The automotive industry needs people, significant amount of people, a lot of people to work. So therefore it creates employment. All right. We need to transport goods from there. We need to have infrastructure, power lines, etc. So, therefore, it improves infrastructure. Okay, for the area. Can you see how I'm doing it, learners? All right. In terms of that, of course, because it's a large with the infrastructure. The next point, it will encourage more investment in the area. Can you see how I can go through this? All right. The memo may have other facts also, but my facts is good also. You understand? All right. Because it's related. But please note, related to the industrial industry that you chose, the automotive, because it says 452. Is that clear, learners? Don't forget, don't just write more employment. Say what the automotive does. It employs a large number of people, thereby increasing the employment, the automotive industry. Okay, state discuss 2 challenges experienced by the Port Elizabeth region in comparison to the PWV region. Be careful. This is a compare question, learners, and we have to compare. Okay, don't just say it has small. Okay, I know you may say you're correct, but put it in full. Okay, one things compared to the PWV region, the PE-Uitenhage region has no raw materials relating to mining, or has no mining raw materials, which affects the production because you need that iron and steel. Okay. Uh, Coal mining, nothing in the Port Elizabeth region. Okay, compared to the PWV region. Can you see what I'm doing? Maybe the examiners will accept it in the other way, but let's not take a chance. As you say, no tatama chance. Okay, so we say compared to the PWV, which is a lot of coal mines, you understand? Therefore, the provision of electricity will be expensive. Okay, I can use other facts also. If we got our 4 marks, which is the main ones, I could use other facts. In fact, it's away from compared to PWV, it's further away from the rest of Africa. So Africa trade may be limited. You understand? I could use even not smaller points, but doesn't mean it's insignificant, that there's less tertiary institutions, etc. Can you see? It's about applying, learners, and that is the important thing. And you can never get it wrong. They bring any information to you relating to these issues, anything. You understand? Different resources, but you'll be able to apply yourself. Okay, learners. All right. This then covers the 4 core areas with regards to our curriculum and with specific reference to those two, the PWV, all right, and the PE-Uitenhage core industrial regions. Again, I wish you well with your studies, and I know you're going to do well. Okay. All the best, learners. Goodbye.